What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to read the latest installment in the best-selling manga in history. We'll have to wait 1 month for that. But while it's on break, every single week, we are going to be getting pieces of information from a project called The Road to Laugh Tale. And what I believe this is going to have is information on material that was not used within the story, content that was originally in Oda's mind and for some reason or the other tossed to the side and was like, I'm not going to use this for the story, at least up until this point in time. And so here I'm expecting to see unused character designs, unused stories, like things that should have gone one way went the other. Now what I'm unsure of is whether this is from the very beginning, from Romance Dawn, from like 1997 until now, or is this just for Wano? Is this just for the Four Emperors saga? Like, what are we going to be covering here? So I'm excited to see, but without further ado, let's dive right into The Road to Laugh Tale. I've not seen anything from this. I want to do a reaction to it because, listen, if we're not going to be reacting to the chapter or an episode, there's no episode this week either. And I was like, you know what? We're reacting to The Road to Laugh Tale. Why not? Why not? You feel me? We gotta react to something. So, One Piece, the romantic seafaring adventure to find the great treasure. By the way, shout out to TCB for going out of their way to translate this for us, man. So shout out to my dogs over there. But it's finally nearing its end. In this volume, we'll embark on our own adventure to uncover the pivotal plot points of this epic tale. The Road to Laugh Tale. And we see Roger laughing, of course. And we cut over and we see The Road to Laugh Tale in a second image, and this appears to be Luffy carrying Tama back in, I believe that was chapter 912. But Luffy initially carried Tama with on the back of the Komainu. So right here we see him walking with Tama on his back. So this is interesting. Here we go. One Piece next. Excuse me, One Piece Deep. So One Piece next, One Piece Deep, and Concept Gallery Treasures. Rocks! Hold up. Yeah, hold on just a minute. Wait just a minute. I need some water after that. Hold on. Give me a sec. I had to take a minute to just gather this in. If we're about to get some sort of rocks information so we're going to see maybe what rocks was initially in Oda's mind before he changed it. This is going to be interesting just from a theory standpoint. Like, oh, let's go. The Way to Laugh Tale, Concept Gallery Treasure. So we start off here, One Piece next. Deciphering the future of One Piece next. The Great Pirate Era started with the final words of the King of the Pirates, the man who had attained everything the world had to offer. Now countless brave warriors are vying for his throne, and we see the goat right here, Roger, he's laughing. And of course, so this was like a recap right here. 25 years have passed since Goldie Roger conquered the Grand Line. We get to see the images from, this was from the manga. This is stuff that was in the manga. Yep. Right here as well, this with Tom going over the bridge where Robin was during the time skip. Zunisha, Roger being labeled the King of the Pirates. The first page in the entire series. The birth of the next Pirate King is nearly upon us. And then it shows Kaido and Luffy side by side. A special feature on the truth behind the One Piece. Deep, The Way to Laugh Tale, retracing Goldie Roger's adventurous course. By going over the legendary life of the Pirate King, we may be able to grasp why he laughed on the final island and what that may mean for events yet to come. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So by retracing this, we may be able to come up with some type of answer. So let's see right here. 77 years ago, December 31st, Roger was born in Logetown. A fateful encounter that sparked a legend, so we're going from the very beginning, age 0. Then question mark years ago, aged blank, formation of the Roger Pirates. That's interesting. So I've always been an advocate, ever since we got the Roger flashback within the Odin flashback, that was not going to be the only part of Roger's story we would see. I'm a firm believer that we're going to get the beginning of Roger's journey at some point in time in the future, right? Because that beginning, and if we don't, it will just lead more to the legend of Roger. Like, if we don't get it, I wouldn't mind, just based on the fact that keeping that part mysterious and for us to fill in the blanks is really cool. But if we were to get it, and now seeing this question years ago and then aged question, it just makes me believe like we might get another, not a very long flashback, but at least maybe through Rayleigh's perspective. You know, we still have no idea what Rayleigh's going to do in the final saga. And so if Rayleigh were to pass on in the final saga, where he were to have a flashback thinking back to Roger, but thinking back to the formation of the crew that we saw back whenever Roger went up to Rayleigh, whenever he revealed that, whenever Odo revealed to us that Roger had the Straw Hat back in Return to Sabaody. You know, it's like, let's turn the world upside down. I do wonder if we're going to get anything on that. And we might get that from Rayleigh's perspective, or from a perspective of another member of the Roger Pirates that we'll find down the line. But based on this tells me that we're not done seeing Roger from back then, and that's exciting because I love Roger flashbacks, right? So about 50 years ago, gained renown as a rookie. 39 years ago, Age 38 reached Lodestar Island and restarted his voyage from scratch. Which is very, so he reached Lodestar Island and restarted his voyage from scratch after that. Then at age 39, the God Valley incident. So this is interesting. This is interesting. So Roger, before the God Valley incident, restarted his journey. So he gained renown as a rookie. Then 11 years passed. He finally reached Lodestar Island, and then he restarted his voyage from scratch, which means something happened there that forced him to restart his voyage from scratch, right? And this has been a topic of conversation that we've had within the community in regards to Luffy. Will they do the same thing as Roger in terms of restarting from a certain point, and they all gather up again and they go on one final journey together? Of course, we don't have the answer to that. But that is interesting that it took him 11 years to reach Lodestar Island, and it took us to, shout out to us, we're the goats, but he restarted his verse from scratch, and then exactly 1 year later, the God Valley incident took place, and he fought alongside his old rival Garp. Then, 28 years ago, he contracted an incurable disease. He's 49 at this point. At age 50, we have the Battle of the Edwar with Shiki, and then age 51, he finds Odin, and we get to see the legendary stuff that takes place there. That is interesting. We've never had a timeline like this specifically for Roger, so this is really cool. I love this. This right here, to me, already makes this a valuable sense of information for us as readers of this series, because now we understand that it was after Roger reached Lodestar that for some reason he decided to restart his voyage from scratch. There was something that happened here where he decided, you know what, let's go back. Let's go back and restart this thing. And then exactly 1 year later, the God Valley incident happens. So did he lose to Rocks? Was there a situation where at Lodestar, he went up against Rocks. Rocks defeated the Roger Pirates, forced them to restart the same way that Luffy restarted after losing on Sabaody and, of course, losing in Marineford. They decided they needed to get stronger. They were back in 3D2Y. Did Roger have a situation like that with his crew where he decided, we'll be back again in a year? And maybe that's why the rest of his crew wasn't here, because this was in the middle of him getting back to being with his crew again, was this moment here on God Valley, which is why it was just, I'm going to assume, it was just him and Garp against the Rocks Pirates. That would actually make a lot of sense if something like that were to happen, right? And then it would be like, man, because then it would just add more to Rocks, like, yo, Rocks took out the king of the pirates. So that'll be my theory for right now, is that Rocks defeated Roger and forced him to restart his journey at Lodestar Island. Because besides that, it's like, of course, I'm going to assume somebody on Roger's crew had to have exceptional navigational abilities to get them to Laugh-Tale. But with them not having the information that we have on the poneglyphs, thanks to the people that came before us, maybe they needed to restart the journey in order to reassess this. I don't know. We'll have to see. Regardless, we go to the right side of the page. A fateful encounter that sparked a legend. A young Roger enlists his future lifelong companion Rayleigh while sporting an also familiar straw hat. Oh yes. There's one more island out there, a new adventure to uncover the secrets of the world. There's one more island out there. And of course, he's talking about Laugh-Tale. Having realized that Lodestar was not the final island, after reaching it, he decided to steadily. So, we're going to go to Lodestar. we're going to go to Lodestar. I don't know what we'll find there. I'm going to assume it's going to be a transitional arc, that's probably going to end up being the Jaya to Laugh-Tale Skypiea, where that will be the final transition arc that leads us into Laugh-Tale. That is my assumption, is that Lodestar is going to be Jaya, because at this point, it looks like we're going to end up going to Lodestar Island, unless another island attracts Luffy's attention to where he has to choose between Lodestar and another one. But based on how much we've been led to, we've heard the name Lodestar throughout the series, and now we see specifically that Roger restarted his journey from this point, I do think we'll be going to Lodestar after this. I most certainly do. So, uncovering the truth, a collision with the Golden Lion Shiki's fleet, of course, this was in Strong World Chapter 0, which had a lot of good stuff in there, but despite an overwhelming disadvantage in numbers, Roger chose to face his foe head-on, spiraled on him, and he was able to get through the fierce war zone. The missing ingredient needed to reach the end, Kozuki Odin, and of course we'll get that from the chapter. Roger was adamant about recruiting Odin. Even though he was on his rival's crew, he was needed to check the final destination, as the samurai could read the ancient characters. Their farewell tour of a lifelong adventure. And we see the where Roger left the that saying back in Skypiea, which of course we first saw through Robin's perspective in the original Skypiea arc, and then we got to see how that happened thanks to Odin in the Roger flashback. Sky Island, Water 7, Fishman Island, and Zoe. With Odin in tow, he uncovered the secrets of the past and prepared for his last journey. Then we move over to the side of the page, and now we get to see even more. 25 years ago, H-52 successfully conquered the Grand Line, named the final island Laugh-Tale, and then he disbanded the Roger Pirates. 24 years ago, voluntarily surrenders himself to the Navy executed in Logtown, East Blue. So this just goes even further beyond into my thought process behind us eventually getting this stuff. Because we need to find out why it is that Roger voluntarily surrendered himself, as well as that first part of his flashback. So I'm excited to see when we're going to get all of that. And if we don't get that within the canon story, I at the very least want that to be like an OVA or something that's explored within a movie. Because I think that's something all of us want to see. You know, we all want to see more stuff, but I do think Oda is cooking something up for in-canon material for that, and that's probably going to be way deep in the final saga. The birth of the Pirate King followed by the death of his crew. Of course, after having accomplished the impossible, Roger welcomed the end of his adventure. Then the final drink with Whitebeard. After raucously trading stories with his longtime rival, a man who had lived through the same era as him, Roger decides to tease the meaning behind the initial D. And then it's the Roger and Garp conversation from the legendary chapter 550, which, of course, still to this day shocks me, right? And it leaves me in awe in how well executed that reveal was, with Ace being his son. Roger capitalized on the strange bond he forged with Garp on the battlefield by making a shocking final request from his jail cell. Garp lived up to his promise and took care of Ace when he was born. At the end, he used the dying embers of his life to spark a great blaze that would engulf the entire world. That's facts. The unresolved mysteries of Roger. Many questions about the life of the Pirate King remain unanswered. Here are just a few examples. His romance with Rouge, 100%. His beloved blade Ace, 100%. So, Roger's go-to weapon during his voyage, he bestowed its name upon his own son. What does this imply about his relationship with Rouge? Is this a flicker of parental love? Shanks' tears. That is fact. Shanks was still a young boy in Roger's crew, but there seemed to be complex feelings behind his tears. That's interesting. What was Roger's ultimate dream? We're all wondering that, right? What could such a great man still desire? So, I love that because, you know, there's been talks in regards to, is what they stated, especially after 1015, is what they stated really that they wanted to be king of the pirates? Because why would that need to be hidden? And after that chapter released, specifically after the Roger section, we were all able to look back on the Luffy Sabo Ace flashback and be like, wait a minute, Luffy said the same thing. And we connect those dots and we're like, is it Pirate King? Is something beyond that? And of course, through discussion, we all came to the conclusion that it's got to be something else. This has to be a different dream besides being Pirate King. And so then we get to present time where we're all like, hold on, now there's two different things. There's one to be king of the pirates, and then there's blank. And that blank is right here specified in what could Roger still desire beyond becoming king of the pirates, right? Because that title didn't exist. That was a title that was bestowed upon him. So that title being bestowed upon him means that that was not initially what he was going after. So it makes me very interested. What was it that he and Luffy were going for? Of course, there's a lot of theories on what their dream is, but I'm so excited to find out. Let me get some water. I'll be right back. We are back. Let's continue on to the next page. That was a great page on Roger. So now we go to the GOAT. One Piece Deep, The Way to Laugh-Tale. A look into the Lode poneglyphs. We're going to Lodestar. I never put those two together. Road poneglyphs is actually Lode because R and L. Oh man, how in the flying flagnars did none of us put that together? So that means the poneglyphs, when you get to Lodestar and you present all 4 of the Lode poneglyphs, that's when you'll be able to reach the next destination. Oh, that means that in Lodestar, we're going to have a knock-up stream type of scenario. It is going to be the Jaya. No! Oh, no, bro. I'm excited. I'm excited now. So that's almost pretty much confirmation right there. Guaranteed that we're going to Lodestar. Like, almost guaranteed we're going to Lodestar. So it's finally time, the place where we might find or might not find the One Piece. The historical texts. Here we go. Laugh-Tale, where the One Piece is said to reside. Let's take a look at the poneglyphs. Our sole clue to finding Laugh-Tale. That is our only clue. Ancient messages that piece together to form a forbidden history. The stones patiently wait to fulfill their purpose. At least 30 unique stones have been scattered around the globe. 9 crucial stelas are required to comprise the Rio poneglyph. There are a total of 4 Lode poneglyphs. These inscriptions were made 800 years ago to carry an unknown will. The future was entrusted to one who can guide these passages to their end. The Rio poneglyph stones that hold important information pertaining to the Void Century. Each of these have a passage about the forgotten past. By unifying the text of these 9 crucial stones, the true history will be unraveled. The Lode poneglyphs, these red ones, show one route to Laugh-Tale. One route. It's not the only route. Which means even if we take that route to Laugh-Tale, there's still another way, which I'm sure has to be the way that Blackbeard gets there. This is some crucial info, bro. Crucial, man. Stones that show the way to the actual end of the Grand Line by cross-referencing the points indicated by each one. The location to the final line can be ascertained. Of course, we found that in Zou. What are the hidden truths chiseled onto these stones? The Kozuki clan inscribed the messages. Wano's Kozuki clan have been stonemasons for generations, and their remarkable talent was passed on from one generation to the next. The stones reveal the existence of a certain great kingdom. And of course, we found that back in Robin's flashback. This kingdom is said to have stood in opposition to what would one day become the world government, and it likely holds an enormous secret. Comprehensive analysis. Here we go. The locations of the Lode poneglyphs past and present. Holy sweet mother of Aunt Jemima. Here we go. 26 years ago, Roger's quest. He goes to Zou, Wano. So the Lode poneglyph was accompanied by the Kozuki clan crest, which is a testament to the solemn bonds of fraternity they forged with the Ming centuries ago. Odin's statement confirms that Wano was host of one of the coveted stones. Its location remains unknown, but it appears to have been somewhere convenient enough that a rubbing could be taken in no time flat. So that's pretty much Oda letting us know that is true. That means that thing has to be on the outside. It has to be somewhere on the outside. Do you guys think that the octopus has it? Like the octopus, whenever we initially went into Wano. Nah, but that's outside, right? Like, we gotta think about something that's inside. Where in the flying flagnards is it that Odin could go and get a rubbing of it and come back without seeing anything that took place within the country itself? That means it's gotta be super, super close. Location unknown in Big Mom's possession. Oh, the one that he took from Big Mom's possession, also location unknown. And that location unknown has to be Elbaf. It has to be Elbaf. Fishman Island, of course, with the Joy Boy apology. Whole Cake Island, which was already acquired. So we go to present time, we see Zou acquired. Wano Country in Kaido's possession. Of course, we're going to get it soon. Whole Cake Island acquired. Now, it was on Fishman Island 26 years ago, but not anymore. Where could it have gone? So, this is interesting. The poneglyph has moved locations. We're all assuming it's on Elbaf. That has been our assumption for a very, very long time, right? Ever since I first got into this series, there are 2 islands that we all knew eventually we would have to come across. Excuse me. Actually, well, at the time there was 3, but we already visited Fishman Island. So, Wano and Elbaf, for so long, we all knew would one day be destinations. One day, they would be a destination. And maybe you can add Mighty Joa to that list. I would most certainly love to go out there and have an adventure as well, but the more we see from it from people that are not Luffy's crew, the less likely I think that we ourselves are going to go up there. You know, probably have Dragon go up there, cause a lot of ruckus and all that, but we'll see. I would love a rush on Mighty Joa, don't get me wrong, but it's just the more we see from it, the least likely I see that we actually go there. Regardless. Zo's been acquired. Wano, of course, is still in Kaido's possession. Whole Cake, we already got that. But then the last one, we believe is in Elbaf, but what if it's not? So let's see. It must be somewhere unexplored by the Straw Hat crew. So we see Blackbeard's base, the pirate island full of lead, the one sunny town now plagued by Kuvira. This man Oda put something like that. Well, I'm going to assume that was stated all the way back in Skypiea, in like Jaya. Where is the final redstone? It must be somewhere unexplored by Straw Crew. Is the final reload part of the region the Straws have yet to visit? Well, maybe it's in one of these places. So we put the island full of lead, which I'm going to assume we're not going there because we've already seen it. Vera is fascinating. Vera and Elbaf. That's gotta be. Vera and Elbaf. So the one sunny town now plagued by coups. The age of Kai in 1120, June 21, clear skies, sailed from the label town of Vera. Dude, that's kind of wild, dude. Who in the flying flag nerd searched that up? Jaya and Skypiea. Is it? I think that's from that arc, right? Maybe it's not. But I have reread this series so many times, and I never even remembered the mention of the town Vera. That's wild, bro. That is so. Then, of course, the land of giants, Elbaf. There are many possibilities too. The world is vast with many obscure islands. Risky Red Island, Raijin Island, of course, has been brought up many times. Mysteria Island, Balloon Terminal, Yukiryu Island, Empty Bluffs Island, Apple 9 Island. There's a lot of islands, man, that we could potentially go to. Rocks. Oh my god. So, fascinating info on that page. Very fascinating info on that page. So, One Piece Deep rocks the taboo pirate. He aimed to become king of the world, the worst taboo. Rocks D. Zebek. Roger's strongest adversary, the mythical Rocks. He had to have been the one to defeat him, bro. Roger's most formidable foe was a renowned heinous pirate. Let's take a look at the man whose ambition led him to violate the world's greatest taboos. We're putting a timeline to Rocks? Yo, I'm telling y'all, Rocks at this point, the way that he's being built up, makes me believe that we're going to see, like, Is this man even dead, bro? Like, I know we've had the theory for so long about Instant Messenger Sama potentially being Rocks, the whole King of the World thing. It would just make so much sense in regards to he became the King of the World by literally establishing his former crew members as the leader of the pirate world, and then he's leading over here as the leader of the Marines and the world government and everything happening there. So he's literally King of the World on both sides. So that's why, for me, like, Rocks being Instant Messenger Sama was like, that's a grand possibility. But if that's not, you know, if we take out the tinfoil hats, we don't think that's a possibility, legitimately. Who in the Flying Flagnards, or where in the Flying Flagnards, will we even see Rocks in the series if he's still alive? Because if he's dead, this man is the big, of course, lurking legend, right? But if he's dead, it's like, why do we continue to keep this man hidden in the way that we are? Like, what is Oda cooking with Rocks, brother? Obviously, if we did not see Kaido's full flashback, he is holding back for a purpose. And I've been a believer that the reason for that is because whatever happened there on God Valley has so much to do with everything. Everything, man. Like, it's gonna reveal so many answers, especially when we find out the reason why they were protecting the Celestial Dragons. That's gonna be huge. That's gonna be huge. Because for Garp to protect the Celestial Dragon, something crazy had to have happened there. And so that might actually lead us, as I've said it before, since he's going into the taboo, Rocks probably, because I'm a firm believer that Dragon was inspired by Nika to create the Revolutionary Army. And of course, by whatever probably happened to Luffy's mom, maybe the God Valley incident, a whole bunch of stuff led to that, and stuff with his own trauma, his own past, his own beliefs in the injustice of the world obviously led it to that point. But I do believe that the thing on his face, the tattoo on his, I can call it a thing, the tattoo on his face is most certainly, for me, connected back to the Void Century. Like, we're going to see somebody from the Void Century rocking that same tattoo. Maybe even Nika himself, right? So, I just, rocks, man. So we continue, because rock. So over 44 years ago, formation of the Rocks Pirates and the Pirate Island Full led a bunch of powerful individuals band together with the promise of landing a big score. And then, of course, there's also the theory, which was brought to my attention by my boy JD Legend, shout out to Big J, who was talking about how Blackbeard potentially is rocking rocks in the same way that Luffy's rocking Joy Boy, right? In the same way he's rocking Nika. Maybe the Yami Yami no Mi carries within it, right? That type of, and I know that sounds weird because Luffy, technically, it's just the soul sounds the same, right? So maybe that connection, there's definitely a connection with Blackbeard and Zebek. There's no doubt about that. I just wonder how deep that connection goes. I just wonder how deep that connection goes. Because a bunch of powerful individuals band together with the promise of landing a big score. Kaido joins the crew as a rookie, and we cut back to both flashbacks that were brought up in chapter 1040 and in 1049. He proves to be a dominant force as a part of this group. The God Valley incident, which is a crossroad of fate. Roger and Garp fight together to save a group of celestial dragons and their slaves from the ultimate crew, the Rocks Pirates. Dude, when we find out what happened at God Valley, oh my god. God Valley was erased from the annals of history, never to appear on the map again. The total collapse of the Rocks crew followed, but that's not all. And we look over here, the former members of the Rocks crew went on to become infamous in their own right. And this is why it was just like, man, they real deal all came to dominate the world in one shape or form. Like, the crew which dared to challenge the world government was well known for their backstabbing and infighting. Some members would go on to be known as the infamous Emperors of the Sea. In addition to their captain Rocks, they also featured a young Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, which, Rocks was truly, that man's the greatest recruiter in the history of mankind. Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, and the Golden Lion. These two men crossed blades with Roger many times, and they had mutual respect for one another. And the goats right here, Big Mom and Kaido, these two have been like water and oil for many years, but they somehow casually put their differences aside to form an alliance in one. Look at that. There's lightning outside. I'm talking about stuff that should not be talked about. I'm talking about the taboos of the One Piece universe with rocks. There's lightning about this right side. The Kaido's Doverwood has deep ties to the God Valley incident. We knew this. We knew this, but this is just further letting us know that when we find that out in the final saga, why it is that Kaido got it there, because let's go, baby. It's like, it's these theories that you have, but then you see them right here and you're like, let's go. Kaido's fruit seems to have an inexplicable connection to his past with Big Mom, what happened in the aftermath of God Valley. There's another confirmation. The one uses Zebek's name, and there he is. Blackbeard, oh my god. Back your backs into the ship. Why let the Navy reap the reward when I stand to gain from this? Blackbeard's ship is known as the Saber of Zebek. Is there some deeper connection here? There is. Baby, Rox's will. Could his design still threaten the world? That's a very interesting wording there. Rox's will. Captain John, of course, who we saw back in Thriller Bark, a great pirate whose notoriety reverberated far and wide while he was alive. After his demise, Moray used his ability to turn him into a zombie. Captain John's treasure, of course. Man, that was awesome. This was awesome. This was great. And then we look here into the concept art. So here we see the goat with the coat, the Straw Hat's raid outfit. So this is their original raid outfits and concept sketches. Luffy looks pretty dope. Zoro on top. I believe that's Usopp right there. Brook, Robin. I believe that's Zoro again. Yep, Sanji, Brook, Frankie, Chopper, Luffy with a blade. Yeah, that looks pretty dope. Nami looks very similar, so it has like a little bit of that samurai plate right here. I believe that's Chopper too. The Straw Hat's samurai gear. So here we see them down here. Is that Sanji and stuff? Oh my, Sanji looks fresh right here, dog. We get to see Zeus, Jinbei, Frankie, Nami, Robin, Sanji, Chopper. So what I like so much about stuff like this is you think about this. You think about the way these sketches are drawn. And it's like in Oda's mind, he already knows, like based on the sketch, the way that he wants to be designed, which is why he goes with a very rough sketch, and he's like, all right, I got this, let me think. But what I find really fascinating here is that Luffy appears to be wearing right here something very similar to Shanks on the top right, which is so GOAT. So good. And we know that the finalized product was him wearing the coat, which was the best decision in the history of the series for character designs. But I'm unable to tell a big difference besides that. I think that they all look pretty similar with minor differences, and like Robin's, I believe that's a skirt right here that stops up here, which of course we got to see her wearing like a full-blown kimono there in the arc. So differences, right? But I really can't tell like big differences. The Straws donned these when they started the raid on Onigashima from Luffy's snazzy no coat. Yes, snazzy new coat, the go with the coat, baby. To the unique look of the others clad in armor. Naturally, Chopper's armor only fits in his human form, as it was tailored from head to toe for these proportions. The Straw's samurai gear. These are the pre-raid costumes from Amagasa Village in Curry. Was Luffy just playing dress on a whim? Or was all this gear his intended look for the raid? So, it looks to me like this is exactly what Oda ended up going with. We're just seeing like the concept art that led up to that, because a lot of these are similar. There's a few differences, but a lot of these are similar. So then we go over and we get to see, is that Kinemon? We made a promise, right, Kinemon? Samurai Luffy and a rare kimono Nami. Ooh. Samurai Luffy and a rare kimono Nami. Nami would find herself playing kunoichi, but she's a true vision in her kimono. A drafted exchange between her and Momonosuke is also included. Luffy Dono, we get to see the flag. We made a promise, right, Kinemon? We see the go with the code. I believe that's law right here. Oh, so this is back from chapter 974. Momonosuke, Robin, and Nami right here. How much? We see Robin. Gigante Fluor. No way. Is this from the Battle of Legend? Look at the sketches for Gigante Fluor. Is that... in the demon form! Originally, Robin's double form and her massive Gigante Fluor counterpart were going to be one and the same. So Oda, that's actually cool, because I like the way that it was done. We start off with the Gigante Fluor, and then we went into the Espada. We went into the Resurrection. I like the way that it was done. I would rather have what we got than this, which is just going right into it. It just would have felt a little weird. But getting the build up to it, to me, was perfect. Perfect. Alternate Onigashima infiltration concepts. The iconic scene where the three captains of the worst generation swoop in to save Kinemon and the others was only devised after several concept scenarios were abandoned. See, that type of stuff to me is always really cool from a creative standpoint, from like a writing process standpoint, that it took them several different tries. And Oda's spoken about this before, where he talks about his creative process and always trying to find the fourth idea, right? Like where he barely sleeps, he barely eats while drafting, because he wants to come up with the idea that is the furthest from what anybody could ever imagine. So he never goes with the first idea, the second idea, the third idea. He always tries to get the fourth idea, right? Like the idea that no one else will think of. And so it's cool that going through concept, he was like, let me go with this. Let me go with this. And that's what happened there. So we see their feet. Please, I'm at my best after a nap. Me too. How can they sleep at a time like this? Dealing with the sea is a job for pirates. Luffy Dono. Man. Dude, that was a legendary chapter. And it's really cool getting the concept art for that. There's over Odin, the legend of Wano, Kozuki Odin. The incredible Kozuki Odin impacted the future of all samurai. The details of his life, right down to the manner in which he spoke, were refined many times, shown in concept notes. So we see that Odin originally had a very Japanese movie type of look to him, as we see. It was a pleasure to know you. It'd be a little late. Single man's presence could change the world. Let's turn into gusto. Momonosuke's adult form. Whoever put the final, like, because I know Oda, of course, was the one that drew it, but whoever was like, Oda, that's a great design, whoever came up with that decision on the team, where they were like, that's the design we're going with, Oda, that's the GOAT one, that person, the editorial staff, that's my GOAT. Because Momonosuke's design is gort. Super gort. Alright? Absolutely love that design. In order to save Wano, Momonosuke had Shinobu use her ripe powers to turn him into an adult. He went from aged 8 to 28 in the blink of an eye. You can clearly see the resemblance to Odin. Now, Leaving the country is a crime dedicated to protecting his country's culture, choosing his own method of rule, poneglyphs. So we get to see several different more concepts for Odin right here. I'm glad that Oda went with what he went, honestly. Father becomes shogun 9 years ago. Momonosuke is born 8 years ago. We started 2 years ago. Father, age 62, commits seppuku. Mother, age 30. Unification. Retainer cat, Mamushi. Family crest. It'll come together one day. The history of this country. Fellow samurai. Family crest. So this is just ideas. Ideas that Oda put together for that. That's interesting. Originally meant to commit seppuku in the mother, age 30. That's a massive difference. So here we get to see Kiku and Izo, of course. Early concept of Wano's beautiful brothers. Here we see the stunning siblings of Wano. Seems like the plan was always to introduce Kikunojo into the story as the unassuming Lady Okiku. Wano's 7 scoundrels became the 9 red scabbards the samurai rose to glory. The Red Scabbards are arguably the lead characters of the Wano arc. However, they were originally envisioned as a group of 7 scoundrels, and Hitetsu was one of them. At one point, they were only going to be a group of 4. Wow, so they were originally going to be a group of 4, and Hitetsu was among them. That's interesting. So Hitetsu of the Wind, Foxfire Kinemon. Then we have Kawamatsu no Ju. So he was not going to be the same. When we see some early concept for Hyogoro the Flower here, Kozo, Witching Hour Boy. Okay, Rise of the Mist, of course, Evening Shower Conjuro. It looks to be Denjiro, yep, the napping Denjiro, Shutenmaru, Jushiro of the Mist, popular with women, Jushiro of the Mist, Foxfire Kinemon, Muzan of the Moon, Black Crow Raizo. So this is what, that's a fire name. Black Crow Raizo. Flies in the Sky, Northern Cattle Raizo, Samurai Kinemon, Jushiro. The name Jushiro needs to come back. Somebody in the series needs to be named Jushiro at some point. Shout out to my boy Ukitake. But that's cool. 4 horsemen, 4 whispers, the 4 commanders. So it was originally supposed to be these 4. And these 4 were Jushiro of the Mist, Kinemon, Muzin, and Black Crow Raizo. And they were just going to be these raw 4 characters from Wano that were just going to be filthy. And even with that, that's an awesome alternate history, but I'm glad we got the 9 scabbards that we got, man. But that would have been cool. Shimotsuki Kozaburo. Even he got his own page. Zoro Greatness. Don't work so hard, Zoromaru. I told you all that. It's just Zoro. Swordsmith retired, but used to forge named blades. That's not what if I told you all your beliefs and swords were wrong? Excuse me, hey old man, everyone's saying you used to be a samurai. A country of samurai? Ha ha ha, where'd you even hear that? They even said about swords and power, they swords have a mind of their own. Some swords are cursed and have a taste for killing. They were to manipulate their owners and take more lives through tragic quirks of fate. The extremely elusive samurai of Wano. Shimotsuki Kozaburo, the swordsman behind the Wadoichi Monji and Enma and countless others. Shimotsuki Ushimaru and the other daimyo that bravely stood against Kaido after Odin's demise. Don't forget to study the concept art behind these legendary samurai now they're available to the public. So we see Ushimaru and the daimyos. Ushimaru the goat. Ushimaru the goat! Uzuki Tempura, of course, these are the samurai that were with Yamato back in the chapter 1024. Fugetsu Omusubi. And that's it. So, let's go into the notes. We've gone with Lode Poneglyph over the familiar Road Poneglyph here. We've concluded that Lode is probably in the intent based on the name of Lodestar Island. So this is something that TCB took measures, and I agree with them. I agree with them. It just makes so much sense to go with Lode rather than Road. I feel like that is a great pickup from them that is going to lead into very important stuff down the line. I like that a lot. The island was introduced when the Redstones first appeared. That's very true. So this potential romanization was unnoticed at the time. Now they are tied together in the narrative. As we know, you're only meant to learn about the Lode Poneglyphs after reaching Lodestar. Lode is a Middle English term that implies guide and path. It relates to the word lead. A lodestar is a star that helps one chart their course. The North Star is a good example. Such markers were the only means of navigation available for many seafaring vessels in the past. It's impossible to be 100% certain with terms like this, as Shueisha decided to call this very booklet the Road to Laughtail. And like with Arabasta, Lode and Road would be written identically in Japanese. For now, we're going with Lode as it seems more appropriate, but we are open to switching back if significant new information comes to light within the manga itself. 100% understood, and I'm glad that they put that, right? Like, man, I really like this. I like it because what we got was not necessarily any new information in regards to, you know, anything else other than unused things and whatnot, which that by itself was really cool. But what I really liked was just having certain things stated in the way they were. Like having Roger's timeline here, specifically reaching Lodestar Island and restarting the journey, the God Valley incident happening a year later, the stuff with the Vera full of lead Elbaf. I think that's really cool. You know, having those possibilities, and of course more islands down here on the bottom too. And so, and of course the rock stuff. It's like, man, I am so hyped for this. I'm so hyped for all of this. It's like this was a great recap for stuff that is going to get us prepared for the final saga, as well as allowing us to really, you know, especially with these timelines, like understand more from the history of the series up until this point. And in that way, it was just really, really dope. I really like this a lot. But yeah, man, this has been part 1, and we're going to get more of these. We're going to get more of these down the line, and I feel like part 1 was already off to a great start with Roger, the poneglyphs, and rocks, finishing it off on concept art for Odin and the samurai retainers, which went from 4 to 7 to 9. That's wild. That's wild, right? Like, imagine back in Dressrosa, that was Oda's intent. Or in Punk Hazard, he was like, man, I'm going to introduce these 4 samurai. They're going to be, you know, look dope. And then he went with the 9 scabbards. I'm so glad he went with the 9 scabbards because that whole storyline was so good. But imagine a different alternate time where we have these just 4. Like, it would have been, everything would have been so, so different. So let's see, man. Let's see where this final road poneglyph is. I have no idea at this point, and we'll have to wait and see. But this was awesome. This was a great, just once again, just a refresher on certain things, but also being able to put things in the way that this put it together was just, to have it structured in the way that it was great. And once again, a big thank you to TCB. This has been the Recon piece. It might as well be at this point, right? It's been a long one, but we had a lot of fun going back and reacting to this, man. So I look forward to part 2. I'm super excited for part 2 now, to get more valuable information, getting us ready for the final stuff, and then, of course, heading into the next level parts. Well, what else will we see? What unused concept will we see? I'm going to assume we're going to see the Yamato concepts. Well, that's going to be really cool as a big Yamato fan. So we'll see that, man. But until next time, y'all have an awesome day. Let me know what y'all thought about this information for the Road to Laughtail, and any thoughts that you have on potential poneglyph location and in regards to the Roger situation there, rocks and all that, you know. Just now's the time for us to speculate, man, because once we enter the final saga, you already know we're going right deep into it. So exciting stuff inbound. Really enjoyed this, but I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. This has been the Recon's Piece. Take care.